Chem Mastery, your study buddies.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the chapter 6. Today we are going to discuss the tutorial questions that have been given last week. I really hope that you guys try to do it first before watching the tutorial discussion video. Move on to the first question. Question number 1. Hydrogen bromide solution in tetrachloromethane had no significant effect on blue litmus paper. The addition of a little water to the solution causes the blue litmus paper to turn red. Explain the following observations. To answer this question, it can be written as hydrogen bromide is a covalent compound which composed of molecules that do not ionize in tetrachloromethane. Tetrachloromethane is a covalent compound, CCl4, which does not consist hydrogen ion, so it cannot ionize. Without hydrogen ion, the solution does not affect the litmus paper. So by adding water, it allows hydrogen bromide molecules to ionize and produce hydrogen ions that turns blue litmus paper to red. As I mentioned in the previous video, role of water to show acidity. It shows that without presence of water, the acid molecule cannot ionize, but with presence of water, the hydrogen molecules in acid can ionize and produce hydrogen ion. Next question. Write the chemical equation based on the reaction below. A. We have sulfuric acid react with aluminum hydroxide. B. We have hydrochloric acid react with zinc. C. We have sodium hydroxide react with magnesium chloride. And D. We have phosphoric acid react with ammonia. So, we are going to look at the answers for the chemical reactions. We start with A. We have sulfuric acid react with aluminum hydroxide. It will give aluminum sulfate and water. This equation stands for when acid and alkali react together, it will give salt and water. The sulfuric acid is an acid, aluminum hydroxide is an alkali, aluminum sulfate is the salt, and water is the water. And then we move on to B. We have hydrochloric acid react with zinc, a metal, and it will give zinc chloride, a salt, and hydrogen gas. This is one of the chemical properties of an acid. Move on to the C. We have sodium hydroxide react with magnesium chloride, which is an alkali, and metal ion react together. It will give metal hydroxide, which is magnesium hydroxide, which is a white precipitate and not soluble in water. And then for D, we have phosphoric acid and react with ammonia, it gives ammonium phosphate. For the next question, question 3, it is stated that 200 cm cubic of a solution consists of 24.5 gram of sulfuric acid. Calculate the molarity of the acid. To answer this kind of question, make sure to list all the important information that was given from the question to avoid any mistakes and for having a better understanding. It was given here that the mass of sulfuric acid is 24.5 gram and the volume is 200 cm cubic. Based on the information given, we can find the concentration of sulfuric acid, which is we can use the formula mass of sulfuric acid divided with volume of solution in decimeter cubic. So by substituting the value, we can get the concentration of sulfuric acid is 122.5 gram decimeter per cubic. After finding the concentration, we can proceed to finding the molarity of sulfuric acid, which is we can use the formula of concentration of sulfuric acid divided with the molar mass, and we get the answer is 1.25 mole decimeter per cubic. When doing the question whether concentration or molarity, make sure to read the question properly and identify what the question needs. Move on to the next question. Question 4. Calculate the pH of a solution in which hydronium ion is 1.5 to the power of negative 4 molar. This question is a straightforward question and it does not have any tricky part at all, which we can calculate the pH by using the formula, which is pH equals to negative log concentration of hydronium ion, and then substitute the value of hydronium ion, which is 1.5 to the power of negative 4 molar, and we get the pH is 3.82. By the calculation, we can calculate the solution is acidic because the pH is less than 7. But remember, while answering the pH question, if the answer wants to find the pH, we can use the negative log concentration of hydrogen or negative log concentration of hydronium ion. If the question wants to find the pOH value, we can use the formula pOH equals to negative log concentration hydroxide ion. And if the question does not have any concentration of hydrogen ion or hydroxide ion, it only have the value of pH or pOH, we can use the formula pH equals to 14 minus pOH. Next question, question 5. It is stated that for each of the following solutions, calculate the mass of solid required for its preparation. We have two questions, A and B. This question, for question A, make sure to list all the details. We have 500 centimeter cubic, which is the volume, and then the molarity is 0.5. And based on information, we can find the number of mole, which we can use the formula MV divided with 1000 and substitute the value we get. The mole is 0.25. And then we can proceed to calculate the mass of lead nitrate by multiplying mole and the molar mass together, and we get the answer is 82.75 gram. So the answer for mass solid of lead nitrate is 82.75 gram. But remember, when calculating the mole, by using MV over 1000, the volume is in the centimeter cubic. But if you are using mole equals to MV, the volume here is in liter. And then for calculating the mass, this formula, mole equals to mass over molar mass, it can be changed to what the questions needed. It is important to list all the information. The information is the volume is 2 decimeter cubic and the concentration is 2.20. And then based on this information, we can calculate the number of mole, which is use the same formula MV over 1000, and then by substituting the value, we get the mole is 4.4 mole. And then proceed with the calculation. We find the molar mass, which is the molar mass is 158 gram per mole, and then we find the mass by using the same method by multiplying mole with molar mass, and we get the mass of the solid is 695.2 gram. Next question, question 6. State the three characteristics of gas P. Gas P is released when calcium oxide is heated with ammonium phosphate. For this question, it is important to understand the question. In the question, it is mentioned that calcium oxide is heated with ammonium phosphate. So, according to the question, the chemical equation is like this. The ammonium phosphate is heated with calcium oxide and it gives this water and ammonia gas. So, we know that ammonia gas is gas P. So the question asks for the characteristic of the ammonia gas. So what is the characteristic of the ammonia gas? First of all, it is a colorless gas. We cannot see what the color of ammonia. But we know that another characteristic is ammonia has a pungent smell and ammonia soluble in water. Remember, a reaction that contains ammonium, when it is heated, it will produce ammonia gas. And then ammonia gas is an alkali. Move on to the next question. Alkali is base that dissolve in water. Two examples of alkali is sodium hydroxide and ammonia. Sodium hydroxide is a strong alkali and ammonia is a weak alkali. With a suitable equation, explain the reaction of lead to nitrate with first sodium hydroxide solution and second ammonia solution. For the answer of reaction lead nitrate and sodium hydroxide, it is said that reaction of sodium hydroxide solution with lead nitrate, it will give white precipitate. If it can be proven by the chemical equation, we can see sodium hydroxide react with lead nitrate, it will give lead oxide and sodium nitrate. This lead oxide is a white precipitate that dissolves in an excess of sodium hydroxide solution to form a colorless solution. For the reaction of ammonia solution with lead nitrate, it will give white precipitate. Why does this reaction give white precipitate? It can be seen from the chemical equation. Here is the lead nitrate react with ammonia in solution, so we get the lead oxide. So this lead oxide is actually a white precipitate. The white precipitate does not dissolve in excess ammonia solution. Move on to the next question, question 8. We have sodium nitrate, copper chloride, ferrum carbonate, ammonium sulfate, argentum chloride, and zinc nitrate. Name the salt that's soluble and insoluble in water. Based on the question, we have soluble salt and insoluble salt. For soluble salt, it is sodium nitrate, copper chloride, ammonium sulfate, and zinc nitrate. And for insoluble salt, we have ferrum carbonate and argentum chloride. For more detail, we can look at this table. For sodium, potassium, and ammonium salt, also for nitrate salt and ethanoate salt, all the salt soluble in water. But for chloride salt, it has its own exception. We have argentum chloride, mercury chloride, and lead chloride, which is not soluble in water. Also with the sulfate salt, carbonate salt, oxide salt, and hydroxide metal. Here we can see the insoluble salt is ferrum carbonate and argentum chloride. We can see at the carbonate salt it said all not soluble. So ferrum carbonate is not soluble salt. So let us see at the argentum chloride salt. It is say here all soluble except argentum chloride. So here that is why the ferrum carbonate and argentum chloride does not soluble in water. For the last question, question 9. Preliminary examination of solid X gives the observation below. First, green solid, insoluble in water, soluble in dilute acid form, blue solution. Identify the solid X and explain your answer. From the question, it is given these are the characteristics of compound X. It has green solid, insoluble in water, and soluble in dilute acid form blue solution. We can see that the color of aqueous solution of compound gives accurate inference regarding the type of ion that present, and then the blue color of solution shows that there is a presence of cuprum 2 plus 2 ion. When a metal reacts with acid, it will produce hydrogen gas. How we want to know that hydrogen gas exists? We can use the burning splint test. If there is a pop sound heard, it means that the hydrogen gas is present. And when the carbon dioxide gas can be observed when acids react with carbonate salt. How we want to know if the carbon dioxide gas is present? We can flow the gas to the lime water. If the water turns cloudy, it means the carbon dioxide gas present. And most of the metal is in gray color, but for compound X, it is a carbonate salt, because it is stated here that it is the characteristic of compound X is not soluble in water. As we know, carbonate salt, they are all not soluble in water except this given example. And then, so that we can conclude that the compound X is a copper carbonate based on all of this inference. That is the end of discussion of tutorial question. Thank you for staying till the end of the video. I hope you guys can find the question is informative and useful, and it is understandable. And thank you again, and have a nice day.